You check your phone for the fourth time in 10 minutes. No new messages, no new likes. You set it down. You pick it back up. Why does an empty screen feel like rejection? The real answer is far stranger than boredom or habit. It reaches back hundreds of thousands of years to a time when being alone wasn't just unpleasant. It was a death sentence. Your brain was not built for the world you live in. It was built for small bands of 20 to 50 people, sharing fire, sharing food, sharing every threat the night could bring. Survival meant staying close. Always. So when you feel that small ache of being unseen, you are not weak. You are running ancient software in a modern shell. For most of human history, a person did not choose how many people they knew. The size of the group was chosen for them by the limits of the human mind itself. In the 1990s, an anthropologist named Robin Dunbar studied primate brain sizes against group sizes across dozens of species. He found a pattern. The bigger the part of the brain devoted to social processing, the larger the group an animal could keep track of. When Dunbar applied the same formula to humans, he landed on a number close to 150. That is roughly how many relationships your brain can meaningfully hold at once. Not 300 friends, not 12,000 followers. 150 faces, voices, and histories tracked closely enough to matter. Everything past that number becomes background noise. Familiar, maybe, but not the kind of connection your nervous system was built to register as safety. Here's the strange part. You can scroll through 1,000 faces in an evening and still go to bed feeling like nobody truly knows you. Why would that be? Because your body isn't counting contacts. It's counting closeness. And closeness was never meant to be measured in the hundreds. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Harry Harlow wanted to know what infants actually need to survive. Food, warmth, or something else entirely. He separated baby rhesus monkeys from their mothers and gave them two surrogate options. One was made of bare wire and dispensed milk. The other was wrapped in soft cloth but offered nothing to eat at all. The monkeys barely touched the wire mother. They clung to the cloth one for hours, leaving only to feed, then rushing straight back to its warmth. Contact mattered more than food. Comfort outweighed survival, in a sense, because comfort is survival, encoded a different way. Harlow's experiment shocked the scientific world at the time. Affection, it turned out, was not a luxury bolted onto biology. It was biology. Without it, infant monkeys developed lasting anxiety, withdrawal, and difficulty forming relationships for the rest of their lives. Now picture a different decade and a different question. What happens to adults who don't get that contact? Not infants. Grown humans in ordinary modern lives going about ordinary modern routines. In the early 2000s, a researcher named John Cacioppo at the University of Chicago began mapping what loneliness actually does to the human body. Not metaphorically. Physically, measurably, in blood and tissue. He found that chronic loneliness raises cortisol levels. It disrupts sleep architecture, fragmenting the deep rest your body needs to repair itself. It weakens immune response in ways that show up clearly in lab results. People who reported persistent isolation carried inflammation markers similar to those found in people living under constant physical threat. Your body, in other words, cannot tell the difference between a predator in the dark and a Tuesday spent completely unseen. Isolation registers as danger, even when nothing in the room is chasing you. Why would evolution wire you this way? Because for most of human history, a person separated from the group did not last long. No protection at night. No one to share the kill with after a hunt. No one to warn you a predator was circling nearby. Loneliness was never a feeling invented to make modern life harder. It was an alarm system. A flashing warning light, installed deep in your biology long before cities, before agriculture, before language as you know it. The warning said one simple thing: get back to the group, or you will not survive the night. That warning light still flashes today, even though the threat outside your window has changed completely. Here is where the story gets stranger still. Starting in 1938, researchers at Harvard began tracking hundreds of men through their entire lives. Their health, their careers, their marriages, their failures quietly recorded alongside their triumphs. The study is still running today, the longest study of adult life ever conducted, now led by a psychiatrist named Robert Waldinger. After more than 8 decades of data, one finding towers above every other. It wasn't wealth that predicted a long, healthy life. It wasn't fame. It wasn't even cholesterol levels measured carefully in midlife. It was relationships. The people who stayed closely connected to others, who had someone to call during a crisis at 3 in the morning, lived longer and stayed sharper into old age. The ones who didn't often did not. Waldinger has said it plainly in his own words. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier. Full stop. So why, in an age with more communication tools than any generation of humans has ever had, do so many people report feeling more alone than ever before? You can message someone on the other side of the planet in under a second. You can see hundreds of faces every day without leaving your couch. And yet survey after survey across the last 2 decades shows climbing rates of loneliness, especially among the people who spend the most hours staring at a screen. Maybe the problem isn't a lack of contact. Maybe it's a lack of the specific kind of contact your ancient alarm system was built to recognize. A like is not a hand resting on your shoulder. A comment is not someone sitting across a table, watching your face change as you talk. Your nervous system evolved over millions of years to read tone, scent, touch, the tiny shift in someone's eyes the moment they finally understand you. Almost all of that information disappears the instant a conversation becomes a notification. So your body keeps the alarm running quietly, in the background, even while your phone insists you have 300 friends. Think about the last time you felt truly less alone. Was it a text arriving on a screen? Or was it someone physically beside you, not performing connection for an audience, just present just there? There's a reason that memory feels different from a notification. Your biology built it to feel different, on purpose, long before screens existed to compete for the same ancient hunger. This doesn't make technology the villain of the story. It means technology is new, astonishingly new on an evolutionary timescale, while your nervous system is not. It is still calibrated for campfires and shared meals. For eye contact, that lasts longer than a glance. For laughter, you can feel through someone's shoulder pressed against yours in a crowded room. Every time you choose a real conversation over a scrollable one, you are not being old-fashioned. You are answering the alarm in the exact way it was designed, deep in your ancestors' bodies, to be answered. And every time you mistake a notification for nourishment, the alarm doesn't switch off. It just gets quieter and angrier, waiting underneath everything else you do that day. That's the part almost nobody wants to sit with. Not that you're addicted to your phone. That you're starving for something your phone was never built to give you, and reaching for it anyway because it's the closest thing within arm's reach. So tonight, when you check your phone for the 4th time in 10 minutes, notice what you're actually searching for underneath the habit. It isn't attention. It was never really attention. It's belonging. And belonging was never meant to load on a screen.